Welcome to Ramblings. I'm Kirk Wilson, the former mayor of Carlisle, and as one of my former elected officials once said, I tended to ramble. So that's how we came up with the name Ramblings. And we've had a wide host of individuals join us since we started these, and we continue to do that. And today, I'm proud to have as my guest an individual who, well, what can I say? He's following in my footsteps, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you would, Mayor Tim Scott of Carlisle, welcome. Glad to have you with us. And you're a busy man, so we were fortunately able to get you.
Thank you for having me, Kirk. I appreciate it.
You bet. One of the things that you and I had talked about, obviously, was the fallout from the George Floyd murder. Now, I would start out by saying, on that issue, at least from my perspective, and I think if you ever took a poll, it would be the same. I don't think there's one living, normal, rational person in this country who would find that police officer's actions acceptable.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. The officers on the force that I've talked to, even our current chief, has said every police officer wants to reach through the TV and smack that guy around because of what he has done to the profession.
No, exactly, but now they'll have to reach between some cell bars, I guess. To
That's
get
true.
To.
Correct.
So that'll probably never happen.
Right.
But I totally understand the feeling because the law enforcement probably is at its peak as far as being recognized. And so I guess my question to you is, now we had 3, I think, demonstrations in Carlisle. Mm-hmm. And do you think that they had any real effect on the community or the police department or anything like that?
I'm not sure because when we first hired our new chief, he said that there's something special about Carlisle. He was impressed with how well the community and the police department work together. He had never seen something like that before. So I think that it caused everyone to take notice, at least to perk up and say, okay, this is a problem nationally, and we need to speak up and use our voices. But I had 6 people come to our last council meeting about this issue. I've received approximately 5 emails about it. So it's hard for me to tell. To me, it seems like we have a good thing here, but it's important to protect it.
Exactly. Well, and, I guess in all transparency, for 26 years, I was the person in charge of that police department. So I want the audience to know, our viewers to know that. But, what really bothered me about those was the fact that they wrote Carlisle Police Department on their signs. And that indicated to me that they were adversaries of the Carlisle Police Department. I happened to be there the first day they were there. And I was really impressed because I said, oh, here comes a police officer in a car. This should be interesting. Well, he kind of took the lead and he beeped his horn. Mm-hmm. And, it was beeping his horn and saying, oh, I agree with these people. And he waved to him. He got applause, And that's my only problem is what seems to me, and you can agree or disagree, it just seems to me that all police officers are being lumped into one big, cold category, and where in fact those who are responsible for such egregious acts are certainly less than 1% of the sworn police officers in the country.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you on that. To me, if you were from Carlisle, you know our police department, you know our officers, you know how involved they are in the community. And the people that were most upset at those demonstrations were not really from the community, I found out later. A lot of folks were from Harrisburg. There was a contingent of people from Baltimore that were at least at 1-2 of those incidences, and that was the group that broke off from the main group and marched to the police station and took a knee.
Just a knee. Well, that was just respectable. I thought.
Yeah. And the whole time our police were watching this, the goal for them was to make sure everybody was safe.
Correct.
And that everyone could exercise their constitutional rights free of any kind of harassment. And that's why you didn't really see them.
Right. Well, you've had a tough time, but I'll take you back to whatever year it was when the Ku Klux Klan visited Carlisle. Mm-hmm. That was an experience that anybody who was there that day, anybody who worked on the planning, I'm sure will never forget. Mm-hmm. But it was a point in case where, this community showed that it would not stand for this sort of action. We had no choice. We had to have it.
Right.
And it went off, and there were people at the square, but the KKK members were protected. Mm-hmm. But there were more people up at the athletic field at Dickinson College. where there were numerous activities.
Absolutely.
I remember Governor Ridge was there,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it was that was a great way to handle it. What do you see Carlisle doing in the future? Is there any formal action that you see the community taking as a result of these?
Well, we did adopt a resolution at our last council meeting that basically outlined the council's values about this, that we value all life, and that we, of course, are committed to whatever type of police reform is necessary for our community. But we did that, a statement of our values. Okay. But beyond that, I know that Deputy Mayor Schultz is planning a forum on race relations, so we'll be able to have a dialogue amongst our citizens. Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, we're also considering perhaps empowering a task force of citizens to investigate different types of reform that we see floating around and come back and give us a report based on what they've investigated.
Right.
So,
but of course, as you know, I'll be quick to say, you got to also get the law enforcement
absolutely
attitude as well, because I guess you've mentioned that one of my biggest things is that one of the toughest things is for the general public to understand the operation of law enforcement, mm-hmm. and many misunderstandings become, appear to be reality.
Very much so. I think in your time, and even a little bit when I became mayor, we used to do a citizen police academy.
Correct.
That to me is invaluable. I'd be willing to invest some money in that to bring that back. Maybe a shortened form. People commit some time and they commit to learning about police procedure and procedural justice, all those good things.
Right.
So we start there.
And I don't think many times things like that would be boring, but if you're really interested, this
right.
is those classes were the sort of things that would keep your attention, and you're surprised when they say, class is over until next week.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone that showed up at any of those demonstrations, they should be willing to at least learn and find out and get a perspective. And then when we get this COVID thing under control, bring back the ride-alongs. Mm-hmm. Because to me, that is one of the best ways to get on the front lines, see what these officers have to go through, and you realize that they just want to get home safe.
Exactly.
Every night.
And that they actually do have a concern for the constituency they serve.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. So those two things, the Citizen Academy and the Ride-Along program, are two of the best ways I see us moving forward to try to at least educate folks on what officers go through and to show them they're members of the community just like they are.
And interestingly enough, neither one of those programs really costs any money.
They do not. It's just time and commitment. So yeah, I'm all for that.
The whole issue here is use of force. Mm-hmm. And I think I have an idea somewhat if that is a problem or if there are been a lot of instances of that in Carlisle. What does your research show?
My research shows since 1990 there have been 5 use of force incidences by the police department in the borough of Carlisle. So statistically, that's almost insignificant.
True.
Not that it's a big deal, obviously, because we don't want that to happen, but it was all investigated, and the officers were justified in their use of force. Now, unfortunately, some of them were fatalities, and loss of life is always bad and terrible, but sometimes I think in a couple of those incidences, the officer's life was threatened or could have been in danger.
Well, in the instances where a police officer killed a civilian, as I remember, they were all given the blessings of a coroner's inquest,
right?
Including extra attention by the district attorney.
Sure.
And I just think that in this community, I know for examples of where an excessive force ended in a result of a police officer's dismissal. So, mm-hmm. And you have continued the process as mayor of keeping an eye on those incidents, being aware of them.
Right.
Well, we're going to wrap it up, but is there anything that I didn't bring up that you would like to mention?
Just the fact that there's concern about civilian authority over the police department. We have that via council, who are elected civilians, the borough manager, who answers to us, and our civil service commission. And that if people want to learn more, all they have to do is just ask me. People know where to find me, or they can come to our council meetings during our public comment period and bring up anything they like. So there are avenues for citizens to get involved with their police department. And the budget too. Mm-hmm. That's a public meeting.
Right.
Where we go over everything line by line. If you have a question about why we bought so many bullets the year before, okay, yeah, let's have that discussion. But I want folks to please avail themselves of the opportunities to interact with us. It's more than what you get with your congressman. I can tell you that right now. So take advantage of it and come talk to us.
Well, maybe I have a I don't get to talk to the U.S. senators, so.
Oh, yeah, that too. That's hard. You want to try that. That's you're better off trying to become a member of council and find us somewhere. So.
Just one final thing I wanted to know. You're talking about community outreach. One of the things that impressed me was when the chief started his, I think it's Little Big program. He and other police officers go out to the middle schools and meet with the students out there.
Have lunch with them too, I think.
I think on some occasions, yeah. So that was another example of reaching out into the community. And as I said, in wrapping up today, there's no one, I think, with a sane mind that would in any way whatsoever support the actions of that police officer who took the life of George Floyd. I think that's the general impression. And with that, I would like to say thank you for watching Ramblings, and keep us in mind. Check us out. My guest today, Carlisle Mayor Tim Scott, and I'm Kirk Wilson, former mayor of Carlisle. Have a great week.